Hi, I'm James from the Hairy Game Lords, and today I'll be reviewing Blue Lagoon!
The unexplored paradise islands of the Blue Lagoon will be a prize for any proud Polynesian seafarer and explorer. Enlist the help of everyone in your tribe and set off to claim all the different islands of the archipelago. You will find precious resources on the way and strategically build your settlements to make history as one of the most renowned tribes in the archipelago. It's time to set sail for the Blue Lagoon.
The Blue Lagoon is a game of two halves. The first half is the exploration phase, where your Polynesian explorers are going to be arriving by sea and then exploring the islands, grabbing resources as they go, and planting their villages for the second half, which is the settlement phase. In the second half, everything is reset, including all the resources, all your people are taken off, but your villages stay on. In the second half, you're going to be exploring again and colonizing from your villages. This makes it an interesting strategic game of two halves where the strategy actually builds over time. Let's find out what you can do on your turn. I love in this game how simple it is. On your go you can do one action, and one of the things you can do is arrive by sea. The Polynesians arrived by sea, so you can go absolutely anywhere. For example, he could go there, magenta could pop up there, yellow might want to go down there. Orange might want to go over here. You can arrive by sea as much as you want. For example, blue could just keep going if you wanted to. Now, the second thing that you can do is instead of putting down a boat, you could put down an explorer. Look at that little settler. So from magenta's boat, they can go anywhere onto land. If they go there, that's great. But actually, what you'd probably rather do is grab some resources. For example, this lovely coconut that goes down there. So now let's have a look over at yellow. Yellow could go onto these two islands over here. Get that. Orange, it's going to go over here. Now these ones are a little bit different. These aren't resources, these are totems, statues. And the statues are just worth a solid 4 points each. I'll go over the points in a moment. Now blue's got a bit of an option here. And ideally, what you really want to do is start making a chain. Boof, boof, bonk, bonk. Now this is a bit of a weird chain because blue, why would you do that? And now, the more islands in your chain, the better. Because if you've got a continuous chain, even if that chain forks off, can't go there because magenta's there, and makes his way over here. This is a bit of a weird run because normally you'd have other players trying to stop you as well. The more islands that you explore, the better, and the more that you connect up in one continuous chain, the better as well. And now I'll go over the points. Now the best way to understand how to win this game is by looking at the point sheet. Now, because it's in two halves, we're only going to be interested in the top half for now, and then the bottom half is identical. So there are a few ways that you can get points. The first way is by exploring lots of islands. You might notice there's a little 7 and an 8 there. If you get to 7 islands, and even if you just like pop up next to it, for example, yellow here pops up there on an island, he's explored it. If you get to 7 islands, you get a solid 10 points. If you get to 8, you get a solid 20 points. Isn't that nice? The chain that I mentioned about is the second one here. So for each island that's in your chain, you get 5 points. So for example, if we look at blue, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 in a chain makes a nice 5 times 4, 20 points. Oh, I got a 30 there, isn't that nice? Now, the next one is majority. So on this one, it's 6 to 10 points because each island has a different strategic importance. And it's all about majority. So let's have a look at this island. So this one up here is worth 6 points. This one here is worth 10 points, 6 points, 8 points, 10, 6, 8, 8. There's the little numbers at the side if you haven't worked out what I'm saying so far. Now, the way majority is done is by, let's dump some oranges down here, is by who's got the most. Now that might be a silly thing to say, but actually as you're kind of getting a busy map, it can be hard to keep a track of that. So let's just chuck a village there as well. In this example, yellow has one guy on this island. Yellow does not have majority. Orange has 1, 2, 3, 4. And village counts as 5. Well, not 5 points, but 5. And then blue's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oof, blue. So blue would get that 10 points down there. Imagine, though, if orange had an extra 2, I don't know why they're filling out the middle there. If orange had matched the blues, then they would share that 10 points equally. Ah, isn't that lovely? So, okay, we've got some majority going on. That's your island points. Next up, we've got resources. I'd work backwards through this. So, starting at the statues, they're worth 4 points each, because statues are just pure points. Now, the resources, there's 4 different types of resources. There's precious gems, bamboo, coconuts, and that's water in a pot. If you get 1 of each, that's 10 points. Now, if you specialize, and if you get more than 1 of the same thing, then you get more and more points. So 2 is 5 points, 3 is 10 points, 4 is 20. So it's actually quite easy to rack up points on that. Now that's the way that the points work. And so once everyone's got all their people out, or all of the resources have been eaten, which happens actually more often than not in a 4-player game, then the game ends, and the round ends, the game doesn't end, and we count up points. So the other thing that I forgot to mention was, as you're going around, you might want to put down a village. The village is where you're going to start in the next area. You've got 5 villages, and you can put that down instead of a person. The only thing I'd like to say about the villages is, you might have noticed, let's go have a look at this bamboo here. So if you grab that bamboo with a village, it's on a stone circle. For some reason, stone circles in this game generate random resources. So at the end of the round, that village is going to be taken off and replaced with a random resource. So you could actually shoot yourself in the foot by doing that, and I wouldn't recommend it. But, I don't know, each to their own. So let's have a look at how the second phase works. I'm just going to swipe away, and we will clear up the board for a second. So the second half of the game has got a different feel to the first half. It ramps it up a little bit. In the first half, we were arriving all over the place from our individual landing sites, so anywhere you could pop up, and then you could just jump onto the land, boom, 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 make your way around. It's quite easy to see what other people were doing. But when you start the second part, everyone's already settled. The Polynesians populated the islands from their settlements, so it's a little bit harder to predict where is a person going to next make their move. And the strategy steps up as well. And that's something that I quite like about this game. Let's get some thoughts about the Blue Lagoon. I am Moana, get that green. Woo. So what do we think about the Blue Lagoon? And I've got to say, this game has really grown on me. The more that I played it, the more that I've enjoyed it, and the more that I've appreciated it for what it is. And what it is a really solid strategy game. And it's so simple and so deceptive in how good it is. I think a lot of games that are coming out nowadays have got these like pow, bang, woof, massive moments like, oh no you didn't, and then poof, the whole game changes from this point onwards. But that's not what happens here. What happens here is it's a very careful, thoughtful, strategic game. Now, the first thing that you're going to notice when you get this game is the beautiful artwork. I love it. We love Moana in this household, and it's the first thing that it made us think of. But when you get inside, you'll see these beautiful components. I love all of the wooden feel to it all. And then on the huts, I realised today that it's not been painted on that little door. They've scraped away that little area or something like that, because it's got a different texture to it. It's also kind of touchy-feely. And then I was like, little cardboard cutout people. But then as you look closely at them, each person's different. And there's probably 3 or 4 different designs for each thing. And they're all doing different tasks. Like this guy's making a net, he's hunting with a bow, He's got a couple of fish he's cooking. Yeah. So there are these little touches, and the more you get into it, the more it's just lovely. And the board itself, it just feels nice. And they've chosen different colours as well. So how many games have you got where the main player pieces are magenta, orange, and that's a beautiful blue as well. Just gorgeous. So the components are amazing. But when you get into the actual game, it's very simple, really, really quick to teach. I've taught this game to my parents who aren't really gamers, and it does their head in when I try to teach them new games. And they get very frustrated. They're like, James, why another new game? We want to play one of the other ones. But my mum came out from playing this game. She's not a gamer, and she has got it in her top 3. So if that isn't enough reason for you to just run out and buy this game straight away, James's mum's top 3, this game, then I don't know what is. But as you play it, like, it's very simple. You start off and you put your little guys in the water, and for somebody who doesn't normally play strategy games, it's quite open. Like, you can put them anywhere. So that's one of the things that you need to have a bit of a mindset change. You can go absolutely anywhere to grab the islands, to grab the resources that you want. And then in the second half, it ramps up because you've got your villages, and you want to think carefully about where you put them. So maybe you want to be getting these different resources over here. Blue's going on a rampage, by the way. And you want to think about that. But because everyone else has already got their pieces on the board in the second half, it becomes a lot more strategic, which is the thing that I love most about this game. Not only is it a solid strategy game, I'd say that this typifies gateways into strategy. So in the first half, you are kind of doing very simple strategy in terms of, like, I go here, I explore from here. In the second half, the strategy ramps up. And so the gate opens a little wider. And suddenly, people who don't normally play strategy games are thinking, like, ooh, if I played this again, I'd do this slightly differently. Or, ooh, if I go here, they're going to grab that island before I actually get to it. So I love how this game is a gateway into strategy. And it develops through the game as well. What else do we like about this game? One of the things we love about this game is the quick goes. So we've played this game with 2, with 3, with 4, which is the maximum number of players. Unless you're playing in teams, you can have 4 pairs, 8 players. Is that still the game? And even when you've got 4 players, goes are very quick, because all you're doing is putting down one little guy, and it's not that often that something pops up that you can't kind of think about quick enough to kind of keep it flowing. And so it's boomf, 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 boomf. Especially in the first round, you are just going boomf, 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 boomf. And all of the goes happen very quickly. Second round is a little bit more thoughtful because you've suddenly got, like, a lot to kind of balance. But the goes are very quick. And whilst you've got a lot of choice, at the same time, you've got your strategy in the back of your mind. You know what you're trying to do with your different places, and because you're only focusing on your colour, really, or are you? It's not too much to think about. It's not too overwhelming for people who have, I don't know, the inability to make quick decisions. Thinking about some of the hairy game loves there. Now, one of the critiques that I've heard about this game is that it's not crazy thematic. If you boiled it down, I don't know why you would do that. It is basically an abstract game, because you could just take all of these things out. They could just be, I don't know, the colours, and you could just be exploring different things. But I think with the art, with all of the pieces, with all of the beautiful pieces, components, and the 3 sentences that I think make all the difference in the rulebook, it just makes it make sense. In the first round, you can do 2 things. You can put your guy in the water, or you can jump off the boat onto land. And so there's 3 sentences that I think just sum it up beautifully. And I carry these into a game that you do so that it makes more sense thematically. So the first sentence is, the Polynesians arrived by sea. You put a boat anywhere, they arrived by sea. The second sentence is, the Polynesians explored the islands from their landing sites. So wherever you've got a boat, they can jump off. and then they can explore from the landing sites. Just love it. Then the third bit, the way that you make sense of all of these villages is the Polynesians populated the islands from their villages. And with those three sentences, an abstract game actually starts to make sense as a thematic game. Now, the two kind of gripes, and they're only minor gripes that I got with this game, are the colours. So I've not played this with anyone who's colourblind, but even as somebody who's got good non-colourblind vision, it is quite hard when you've got a busy board to see what the different colours are at a quick glance. So I really appreciate that they've tried to use different and new colours and a new palette for the game between the different players. But if you're having a quick glance at the island and you've got all of the different resources, you've got the colours of the island, it's got a very similar palette, so it just merges together that little bit too much. The thing that takes the most time sometimes is when you're trying to figure out who's where and what's going on. And it's just not, you can't instantly look at it and think that's what's going on because the colours are so similar. The other thing, and it's a bit of a silly one, like, as you set up, you put your hand in the sac à magique, and you pull out, and you randomly assign the things to the different places. But it's just a minor thing. Like, because they're certain shapes, so for example, that is a stick, that is a pokey, circly thing. It is easy to tell what you're pulling out if you were really thinking about it. That is literally a circle. So if you were wanting to populate an island, basically, if you wanted to cheat, it's not too hard. But you just got to kind of suspend all your kind of brain functions and just pull out randomly and put them down. So that's the only other thing. It's just hard to make it random, truly random, because like the player who puts them out has got an agenda because they know where their villages are. It's just a bit of a silly one. So, what's the verdict? Oh man, I just want to sing Moana songs. So, the Blue Lagoon, is it worth it? Do you like strategy games? Do you like introducing people to new games? Do you like a game that even if you are a seasoned gamer, you can get a lot of strategy and thought out of? Maybe Blue Lagoon is the one for you. I've got to say, I absolutely love this game. It grows on me more and more and more, and I appreciate it for what it is. It's not like all flashy or singing or dancing. It's not one of those kind of like blockbuster games, but it is a solid game that I think should be appreciated for what it is. And I've got to say, recent news, Blue Lagoon won one of the slots in the Game of the Year award by Zatu. So this has already caught people's attention, and I think you should check it out. Honestly, go check it out. Go check it out. So this has been James from the Hairy Game Lords talking to you about the Blue Lagoon, which you should definitely go check out for yourself. If you've liked this video, share your love and subscribe for more.